Equivalent ratios have the same multiplicative within and between relationships. Let's practice using these relationships to find missing values in a ratio table. To begin the process of making a loaf of bread, a chef needs 2 cups of water for every 3 cups of flour. How many cups of water would the chef need if he uses 12 cups of flour? How many cups of flour would the chef need if he uses 18 cups of water? Let's use a ratio table to find each of these values. First, we need to use our given ratio to begin the table. We have a ratio of 2 cups of water for every 3 cups of flour, so we'll use these numbers to get our table started. In order to figure out how much water the chef needs if he uses 12 cups of flour, we have to find the multiplicative relationship between our original quantity and our ratio and this new quantity. Because we are working with ratios, we know that we have to find multiplicative relationship between 3 and 12. In order to go from 3 to 12, we know that we have to multiply the original quantity by 4. This is called using the between ratio, because we are looking at the multiplicative relationship between equivalent ratios. When we multiply the cups of flour, we also have to multiply the cups of water by that same number. When we multiply 2 cups of water by 4, this gives us 8 cups of water. We know that if the chef uses 12 cups of flour, that he will also have to use 8 cups of water. If the chef uses 18 cups of water, we have to look for a multiplicative relationship again, this time between 2 and 18. We know that 2 times 9 will give us 18. If we have to multiply the cups of water by 9, we know that we also have to multiply the cups of flour by 9 in order to maintain the same ratio. When we multiply 3 times 9, we get 27 cups of flour. We know that if the chef uses 18 cups of water, he has to use 27 cups of flour. We just used the multiplicative between relationship to find the missing values in this table. A freelance writer for a newspaper charges $125 for 1 article. How much would she charge for 8 articles? How many articles would she have to write in order to make $1,250? Again, we can use a table in order to find these missing values. Let's set up our table by using a ratio. We have a ratio of 1 article for $125, so we will put these numbers in the first column. We could use the between relationship like last time, but we can also use the multiplicative within relationship. This means that we're going to look for a multiplicative relationship within these 2 numbers. We know that when we multiply 1 by 125, we get the number 125. This is the within relationship. If the writer wrote 8 articles, again, we would have to multiply this number by 125 in order to maintain that same relationship. When we multiply 8 times 125, this gives us a price charged of $1,000. We can also use the inverse of this relationship to go the opposite way. The inverse of multiply by 125 is to divide by 125. So we can use this in order to find the number of articles that she would have to write in order to make $1,250. When we divide 1,250 by 125, this gives us 10 articles. We know that she would have to write 10 articles in order to make $1,250. An interior designing is painting the walls in a new house. It takes him 1 hour to paint 2 walls. How long will it take him to paint 5 walls? Again, let's use a table. We know that this painter can paint 2 walls in 1 hour. There is not a whole number multiplicative relationship between 2 and 5. So there's no easy number, no whole number that we could multiply 2 by in order to get to 5. We could use a fraction, or we could use the multiplicative within relationship, but let's explore this table a little bit more. I know that one way I can get from 2 to 5 is to multiply 2 by 5, which will get me to 10, and then divide 10 by 2, which will get me to 5. Let's start by multiplying 2 times 5 to get to 10. If I'm going to multiply the number of walls by 5, I also have to multiply the number of hours by 5. This tells us that the painter could paint 10 walls in 5 hours. Now, we were originally asked to find how long it would take this painter to complete 5 walls. So we know how long it would take him to complete 10 walls. And in order to go from 10 walls to 5 walls, we have to divide by 2. If I'm going to divide the number of walls by 2, this means that I also have to divide our time by 2. When we divide 5 hours by 2, this gets us 2.5 hours. We know that this painter could finish painting 5 walls in 2.5 hours. We can use multiplicative relationships in order to find missing values in ratio tables. There are the same multiplicative relationships between and within equivalent ratios.